will get them to redetermine their decision about closing our post office, because our post office is vital to us. All our post offices are vital to us. I'm Doris Mason. I'm president of the Iron Farm Neighborhood Council. So I'm just so happy that you're here. And with all our efforts and working together, we can make some change. Change happens when people come together. And that's what we're trying to do, come together to say, no, you're not closing our post office. We don't want to go over on 20th Street. We want to stay right here in our community.
We can't get to 20th Street.
You can't get, no, you can't, because
let's just say it.
no transportation. Right, right.
Number one issue, I think.
Right, okay. So, along with the mayor's office in Main Street and the city of Richmond, you know, Congressman DeSantier, we all have come together, you know, to work on this effort, you know, to fight together. I'm so happy that Berkeley has come in and joined. I talked to one of the ladies and she said, you know, we'll camp and sleep on the steps if we have to. So we're going to try all our efforts, you know, to get this. And our last effort, if they don't hear us, you know, and I haven't spoken with the Iron Triangle Neighborhood Council, but I say I will file a lawsuit against the United States Postal Service. So with that, I'm going to have Sequoia from the mayor's office to come.
Great. Okay, well, thank you, Ms. Mason, for hosting us, letting us take over your Iron Triangle Neighborhood Council meeting regularly scheduled. I think we all agree that this is a worthy cause to get together for, and I'm delighted to see so many folks here in this space. My name is Sequoia. I am the Director of Community Engagement with the Office of Mayor Tom Butt, and we're very happy to join the community as an ally to fight this together. We also agree, the mayor also agrees that this is not the direction that we want to be going. And so I just wanted to kind of go through a couple things, and then I have a statement from the mayor that I wanted to share with the group. And if you were at the May 31st meeting, you've heard these words, but if you weren't, it's going to be something new for you. So a little bit of agenda. We have representatives from Congressman DeSaulnier's office here, Chanel and Joseph, and we've been working really hard together on tackling this at the federal level. We invited some folks from USPS to join us, and at the beginning we thought they would, and then kind of it turned out that they're not here. So that's unfortunate, but the main thing that we're here to get the word out about is that they're accepting letters during their comment period, which ends June 30th. And we went ahead and printed out some form letters that were drafted by Richmond Main Street. And you can, if you don't want to sign, if you don't want to write your own letter, or if you want to write your own letter and sign, you're welcome to sign this draft letter and leave it up here. We also have envelopes with the address, and they're pre-stamped. If you want to write your own letter, you can have it here, and it's got the address for you. And then there's some more information here. So we're happy to engage in dialogue and conversation for the sake of having it and generating ideas. But I just want to let you know that the comments that the United States Postal Service will hear are the ones in the letter form. And then we can also send them, you know, ideas and comments from this meeting, but the main form is through letter writing. So with that, I'll go ahead and read Tom's message for everyone tonight. So, good evening, and thank you for attending tonight's community forum to discuss the future of the Nevin Post Office. I'd like to thank Dean Cameron from the Postal Service, who's not here. No, but Tom, I want to mention though that the mayor and Dean Cameron, who's the gentlemen from the United States Postal Service are having a one-on-one meeting next week to discuss some ideas that the mayor's been having. So that's another thing that's going to be happening. I'm especially grateful for Congressman Gosney's efforts to represent our interests and his support for maintaining our post office. Like most members of the Richmond community, I was deeply troubled and surprised when a notice was posted at the Nevin Post Office in January announcing the potential relocation of the historic downtown site. I challenge the notion that the Nevin Post Office is not necessary, and I feel strongly that the location not be relocated or closed. This post office location is a crucial asset for the community, our residents, and the businesses that it serves. The office provides an important public service and is consistently busy throughout the week. The City of Richmond is advancing the revitalization of downtown, and the Nevin Post Office is a landmark that is central to the fabric of the downtown district. The location also has significant historical value, which is irreplaceable, and any relocation of services by USPS would diminish the appeal of our downtown area. Few locations in the city are as accessible as the Nevin Post Office to such a great number of people. It is especially important to those who rely on public transportation. The Nevin Post Office is in close proximity to the multimodal transportation hub at the Richmond BART station, as well as community access and major thoroughfares. Should this relocation or closure take place, it would cause significant hardship to seniors and those with limited access to transportation or the internet. Closing this post office would also create a burden for the residents and small businesses that rely on this location to conduct their mailing needs in a timely and economically sensible manner. Tonight's public meeting is a crucial component in communicating why the Nevin Post Office must remain in place, and I urge members of the community to use tonight's forum to voice your opinions and communicate any impacts that a possible relocation or closure may cause in Richmond. And thank you very much for being here. Sincerely, Mayor Tom Butt, Mayor, City of Richmond. All right, so next I'll invite folks.
Okay. So my name is Chanel Scales Preston. I'm the District Director for Congressman Marcus Sonnier. And this is my colleague, Joseph.
Yeah, hello.
And so, as many of you know, or if you attended the May 31st postal meeting, the Congressman was there in person. So he was really passionate about trying to keep this historic building open. Not only that, last year he hosted a press release outside in front of the post office. He would like to rename it after Harold McGraw Sr. He was the first African-American postmaster for this post office here in Richmond. Unfortunately, the Congressman is in Washington, D.C., so he was unable to make it to that. But he did record a video greeting for you all, and Joey's going to play that for you.
On top of Zumba.
Good evening. This is Congressman Sonnier joining you from Washington. I'm so sorry that I cannot be there for this important meeting, but Congress is voting this week and I need to be there. As you know, the United States Postal Service is contemplating moving the Nevin Avenue Post Office. I want you to know that I wholeheartedly oppose this plan. The Richmond Post Office is at the heart of our community and provides both historic value and is a vital resource in the retail-rich downtown area of Richmond. Moving postal services out of one of California's historically underserved, diverse communities is not in the best interest of the City of Richmond or its residents. Many of you rely on the post office as more than just a place to get mail, but also as a place where they can and you can engage with others in our community. A 30-day public comment period is now open for you and fellow residents to express your opinion about this plan before a final determination is made. The United States Postal Service has indicated that the comments received will be heavily weighted in the decision-making process. For those of you who would like to register your opinion, please send a written letter to the address at the end of this video. The United States Postal Service must receive your letter on or before Friday, June 30th, 2017. Thanks to you, and thanks to you for being here tonight. I hope you will make your voice heard.
So we'll go ahead and leave that up for everyone in the event that you wanted to write your own letter and take this address home with you, okay?
Can that be put on local cable television?
insurance,
We'll probably post this video that you made today on our social media pages, and others can share on their social media pages as well. I'm not sure if CCT would play it, but we can reach out to them to find out.
Yeah, it'd be great to have it on KCRT. KCRT, yeah, a lot of people will see it.
Yeah. Great suggestion. All right, so that's pretty much all the comments that we have from elected officials, but I want to open it up now to members of the community or Richmond Main Street. If you have anything specific that you'd like to add. Oh, hi.
Hi. Can I, before we start, can I have you from Supervisor Joya?
Yes, please.
Sorry I'm late.
Yeah, no, that's okay.
Didn't realize you were in that section. Hi,
Great. Welcome, welcome.
Hi, everybody. I'm Sonia Bustamante. I'm Chief of Staff for Supervisor John Joya. This is my daughter, Alejandra. And Supervisor Joya wanted to be here tonight, but he couldn't make it. But he wrote a letter, and he wanted me to read it out to you all, if you'll just give me a minute to do that. So he actually wrote this to Jody Lowe. So I don't know if that's correct, or we need to send another letter.
Yeah, so we'll
Okay.
send another letter to Dean.
Okay, so we'll address another one to Dean. I'm writing to oppose the U.S. Postal Service's proposal to close the main Richmond post office at 1025 Nevin Avenue. This post office location is a crucial asset for the community and the residents and businesses it serves. The office is centrally located for the majority of Richmond residents and has a long history of service to the city. The City of Richmond and many stakeholder groups, including Contra Costa County, are in the process of revitalizing the downtown area. The post office is essential to the health of downtown. The post office serves residents and local businesses in the heart of Richmond and is in close proximity to the transportation hub at the Richmond BART station, which also serves as an Amtrak station. If this office were to close, residents would be forced to travel increased distances in order to reach other post offices in the area, which are smaller, not easily accessible by all modes of transportation, and have minimal parking. Closing this post office would create a burden for the residents and small businesses who rely on this location to conduct their mailing needs in a timely and economical manner. It would also contribute to increased traffic and emissions. It is vital to maintain postal operations at 1025 Nevin. The Richmond community has already dealt with the closure of the Station A post office at 200 Broadway. Access to a retail post office downtown is necessary for nearby residents, visitors, and businesses for the purpose of accessing post office boxes, mailbox drop-off, passport applications, and other retail postal service. And we know that those are all revenue generating for the post offices, right? It is also a landmark and central to the historic fabric of the downtown district. In addition, Richmond is underserved in many aspects. Closing the main post office in the city will add to this unfortunate trend. And then it just, very truly owes to Supervisor Joya. So thank you for allowing me to bring that up.
Okay, great. So before we continue on to public comment, I realize that there may be some folks here who are kind of new to what's going on, so I wanted to give you a little overview of what is happening, just in case. So a couple of months ago in January, a notice was put up on Nevin Post Office saying that it was going to be sold. We immediately picked up the phone and tried to figure out what was going on with Richmond Main Street. We're all scrambling. So what had happened was they were out of alignment with their process that they're supposed to follow. So the notice that was supposed to go up was a notice of an intent to sell and to move their retail operations to the McVittie Annex. So we called them. We got it straightened out. They apologized for putting that notice up, saying it was going to be sold definitively, and they had to backtrack and affirm that it was going to, we were going to then have a community meeting to discuss their idea that they wanted to sell it. So then on May 31st, a couple weeks ago, we organized a community meeting at City Hall, or at the auditorium, with representatives from USPS there to hear public comment around their feelings about this issue. And it was clarified that they wanted to move the retail operations to McVittie Annex, that it satisfied their criteria for moving because it was close enough, within 0.9 miles of the Nevin Center, and they are confident that their operations can occur in a good enough fashion as they're occurring at the Nevin post office site. Another reason for closing it is because they are saying that there's too much space and that they don't need all that space, and for other reasons, chime in. Yeah.
Because there's too much space.
Yeah.
So they're consolidating. They're consolidating everywhere. So there'll be other post offices that you'll hear about closing.
We also have.
And that 4-month gap, there was a lot of activity on Facebook and breweries vying for purchasing that historic building, while nothing seemed to be happening.
Yeah, we were setting up the meeting time.
There was a lot of mess that is Richmond the brewery capital of Boston all of a sudden?
Well, I actually wasn't even aware of that.
They
stuff going on
existed.
on Facebook.
They
Okay.
existed, and I'm sure our mayor is aware of
Well,
that.
I know that Tom is not thinking about inviting a brewery to take over the post office. He
I'm
definitely.
glad to know that.
Yeah, and we're aware that there's issues though around the post office with parking and times that it's open. But we also agree that it's a valuable asset with its ability to provide passport services, and it's centrally located. So on May 31st, we had our community meeting with Dean Cameron, and he is a real estate guy.
Yeah, so he's the real estate agent for the Postal Service.
And he,
I think Joey has a handout in his hand.
Yeah, so
They're
these
meeting
are floating around here, but this is what Dean had actually provided folks at the May 31st community meeting. So it's got some information about the process and how this is taking place and what they're looking to do with this relocation project is what they're calling it. So these are floating around. They're on chairs.
So they're on the chairs. We put them on all the chairs.
So that's kind of the overview as per the USPS about this process. And we're doing our best to sort of represent that here too. There was concern at the May 31st meeting that there wasn't an official recording of the event planned by the Postal Service. Eventually, the postmaster from Richmond decided that she would help record the meeting, and she did, and she sent over her notes from the meeting, and I felt that they pretty well described what happened at the meeting. There was a lot of comments, a lot of concern. But we have those, and we'll be happy to send them along. Yes.
Will they enter those comments into the commentary as part of the record?
I can.
Yeah, we can ask. We'll find out. Yeah.
Yeah.
They should be, otherwise it was for nothing.
Yeah.
How can those comments be made public?
I was thinking we send them like a letter.
Send who a letter?
Dean Cameron, the.
I'm talking about the public.
Oh.
Because the 110,000 people in the city, I didn't see that many there that night.
Sure.
I know that there are some social media and online newspapers that would love to publish that.
Yeah.
Well, Amanda Elliott from Richmond Main Street, I just want to echo everything that's been said already and just acknowledge Alicia Gallo, who's not here today, my staff member, who did a lot of work around getting the word out and did take some really detailed notes at the public meeting that we had on the 31st. And we certainly can send that information around and do our best to get the word out through social media and others who might be interested in publishing it somewhere. And the letter that you have here pretty much states everything that's been said before. But for those of you who are not aware of all the revitalization efforts that are happening in the downtown area, we are expecting new development in the next 2 years with housing of over 1,000 units of housing, specifically at the 12th and McDonald, which is an approval stage right now.
We have a developer who's working to build 250 to 300 housing units with about 60,000 square feet of retail for new businesses to come. So this is precisely at the wrong time that this could happen for us. We are growing, and we are expecting more services, not less services, and the businesses need the services, the small businesses especially, our community that's here right now. We want to keep the community here, so we want to do our best to get the word out. If you haven't written a letter, you don't feel like writing one, we have one here for you to sign that you can send in. Of course, you have the information that's here as well, and we will continue to do our best at our upcoming events to get the word out. We have an event on June the 24th, right at Harbor Way and McDonald, our Healthy Village Festival. There will be other resources out there around health and wellness, and we will also be getting the word out about this public comment period to get the word into Dean Cameron for USPS.
Yeah, I wanted to set the history straight. The public notice was dated January 25th. They were given us till February the 7th, at which time the public comment was closed. I put an agenda item on the City Council on February 7th, the day before, because there wasn't really enough time to get anything together. So after I noticed it, I took it to City Council. We passed a resolution sending the letter from the City Council to the Postal Department. And I sent my own personal letter at that time. I've sent another letter, and I will send another letter because it seems that they didn't read or listen to the first two. But anyway,
if I could just pause really quick, because that initial notice, that was their mistake.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I know that. It was their mistake,
Okay.
but
Yeah.
they would have gone on with their mistake if we hadn't have noticed and made a point of it. So that's something we need to recognize. They make a mistake, no harm because no one noticed. So, but we did notice, and we're taking action. And I'm happy that the community pulled together, and there's everyone's pulling in and making this a community effort. So I really thank everyone for jumping on.
Thank you.
What for me is kind of confusing is that we have to send these letters to a real estate specialist leasing team, which is not the post service. For me, it's like sending the chicken sending a request to the fox. Because this guy clearly has some financial motive, so why would we send it to him and not to the post service?
So Dean Cameron works for the Postal Service. So he works for the real estate division of the Postal Service. So they have to acquire and sell off their assets as well. So Dean represents that area for this area.
And I definitely want to highlight that the mayor has similar concerns, which is why we set up a one-on-one meeting with him.
Because it doesn't smell good.
It does not.
Searching the internet the past 2 days, because to me, I lived in the neighborhood that lost Post Office A several years ago, and our neighborhood put up a very good fight. We saved it in a minute, and then it was gone. It's a beauty salon that gets no business now. I would hate to see this historic building go. But this seems about money. That's the point I want to make. And what I found, searching property values, the McVittie station is down and it is undesirable. It is worth $1.3 million. That is today's information. Okay? The Nevin Center is worth less than $500,000. So my answer, sell. Why don't you sell McVittie? Put your $500,000 in your pocket historic district and maintain a building that for a long period of time has been recognized and appreciated here. And I am sure the National Park Service needs to get on the bandwagon here. This has too much to do with wartime history that their presence in this community is based on.
Okay, so I see, we'll just go 1, 2, 3, 4.
Full disclosure, I'm a retired letter carrier. I'm dead set against closing, selling off the main office. But to respond to the woman's comment, McVittie Station has several thousand square feet of floor space that houses the letter carriers that used to be housed at the main office and the McVittie Station. The 94801 and 94805 letter carriers work in that space. So there's not enough space at the main office. That, however, does not...
$800,000 could expand it
It
somewhat.
could, but that would destroy this. Anyway, I just wanted to put that fact out there. That doesn't mean I'm in favor of selling off, of making this move. What really irks my craw about this is there was an article in the East Bay Times yesterday about the closing of the Piedmont Post Office on 41st Street in Oakland. It's a slightly different situation. The landlord is terminating the lease there. The post office has to move. But the post office, in this article, was quoted as saying they are bound and determined to keep a post office, both retail and letter carrier operations, in that same neighborhood. And I want to know why Piedmont and why not Richmond.
Yeah. All right.
Oh, I know the answer.
Two things. One, I also live in the area where they closed A, and I'm jaded, so I already presumed going into that fight that they had made their decision. And I feel somewhat similar about this. This is just to let us think that we have a voice in this process. I'm sitting here because I hope we do. But, you know, I have a P.O. box at Nevin, and I would not have known about this closure, as I believe many people still do not, unless I had seen it on Nextdoor. And there are thousands of people who are not on Nextdoor. So for a city of 110,000, that even though this is great, there are so many of us here, I'd be willing to bet that half of Richmond doesn't realize what's going to happen. And as easily as the post office can send out all these little things about if you want more stamps or on food day or whatever, they could have just put out a little piece of paper that said, this is what's going on. If you want to say something about it, speak out. So that's my comment. My question is, does anyone happen to know, has an intended post office closure ever been stopped due to public comment?
Berkeley.
Yeah, so yeah, there was a woman, and she might be able to, she's coming from another meeting, who came to our last meeting that is part of an organization that fights for post offices around the country. And she had a case study of an example that they had successfully done that, and I think she was here right now. But if anybody remembers them, yeah.
There's several. There's several, but very, very few far between. One was Congressman Sheila Jackson Lee in Texas saved a post office that had been the site of the first lunch counter sit-in in Texas during the Civil Rights Movement, and so they had a plaque, and it seemed to be the fact of the civil rights connection. And I'm thinking Richmond, all the things that have happened at that post office, the fact that if it could be renamed right away for the first African-American postmaster, that I think could be a help in doing it. The other one that I know about is in Santa Clara or Santa Clarita. Congressman Honda worked a lot with the post office and got that closure stopped. I'm with the Berkeley, Save the Berkeley Post Office. In some ways, we stopped it. We were able to do a zoning overlay, which not every city can do because we have a whole bunch of historic buildings in one spot. But, and that stopped the sale because which is something to think about doing, is stopping a sale. Because the post office, I hate to say this, they don't really care what you say. But they can't sell their building if nobody wants to buy it, because you've set up a situation in the community where a person, anybody coming in to buy it, their business would not succeed. I think that's a good way to do it. But right now, the Postal Service has sued the city of Berkeley, because the whole city, like you guys here, the whole city was opposed to the sale. And the case will be heard, I think, in December. So that's where it is with us.
Thank you for sharing that. And back, just to rewind a little bit to your concern about getting the word out, I'm really glad that we're having this meeting with 2 weeks left before the comment period ends, because ultimately, between our offices, we have a limited capacity for getting the word out. But now that you're all here, now we're all part of this together, right? And we're going to really now depend on each other. And a lot of community members have stepped up and are giving out, getting copies of this form letter at least, and sharing the, through your networks, because between all of us, we're probably connected to the whole city and beyond. So we're really now opening it up to hopefully we can just share and get other people around. So we actually had a 3 and there was number 4, I believe. Okay, right here. Great. And then Shannon, yeah. Okay, Joe.
Evening, everybody. Joey Smith. I am the Commissioner for Recreation and Parks for this part of the city, just in this month. I approached this at the commission meeting about the historical aspects of that building. I'm interested in working with Planning Commission also, so that it's not just us trying to address this. So it's gotten a little bigger, but a lot of people are taking it seriously. And you're absolutely right. I have a P.O. box over there. I saw the sign the first time I went in there, but was in a hurry. The next time when I saw it up there, I took a picture of it and read it later. And I started sharing it and spreading it. But a lot of people still didn't understand what was going on. We're passionate about it because it's right here in our backyard, in some cases our front yard. A few other people, it's just a convenient stop for them. Yet, they don't know where it is else that they would need to go. So thank you, Amanda, for your work. And thank you, Ms. Doris, for suggesting this to be here. Juneteenth is happening on Saturday. We really need to get a petition, have a table with the letter stations out there. If you guys don't already have that planned, I didn't hear you say it, maybe you did while I was outside. But that's going to be a great place for us to notify, get people aware of what's going on. And we still got many other events coming up before the very end. Third thing I was wondering is, what was the name of the gentleman, not Dean, the other gentleman there? Gus. Okay. Do you have his contact information? He snatched my card but did not have one to give me in return.
Yeah, we have his contact information.
Okay, great. Fabulous. So if it's a matter of the 3 of us talking to see what we can do about organizing some volunteers on Juneteenth to...
That was my next comment. We are looking for volunteers to pass out letters and, get the word out and sign the letters and all of those things, as well as the event that we have coming up. So yes, if you want to work with us to help to get volunteers, and if any of you want to volunteer, please let us know and we can provide you with materials to
You don't have to be out there all day, even if it's just, 30 minutes or an hour. Something's better than nothing, because talking about something that you don't like means absolutely nothing if you're not willing to put a little bit of skin in the game and take some action. That's the only way, if I'm not mistaken, that's the only way you can actually get folks to listen to you and to reverse their thoughts of doing something when they are really big and have no idea who we are. So, there was one more thing I wanted to ask, but when I remember it, I'll raise my hand.
We also wanted to add that the Historic Preservation Commission is writing a letter as well.
Okay.
And Planning Department is aware.
Can I say something about that, being on the commission?
Sure, yes.
I'm on the Historic Preservation Commission. We are writing a letter. The post office is part of the historic district, the city historic district. And it's eligible for the National Register, but it's not being, at this point, not being nominated. But it should have been nominated by itself for the Richmond Register, and we're going to do that. Unfortunately, it's a little late today, but at least it's a contributing building to the current historic district of downtown.
I mean, Tom has put more things on the historic preservation.
And the National Park Service is also writing a letter.
Yeah. I mean,
Okay, that's good.
Because
relevant to their history.
it has, the post office, which was built in '39, has ties to the home front. And that's what the National Park is all about.
Thanks for that information. Okay, so we actually had a couple more comments. So I'll go over here, and I had
Shelter.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
I'm Margot, Save the Berkeley Post Office, and I'd like to say that the U.S. Postal Service is very sly about how they do things. They're going through all these motions, and as you put it out, it probably will have very little to do with their decision because they've already made their plans. But one of the things that they do is they do misrepresentation, and that should be aware to your city council and to the congressperson. For example, they call this a relocation. It's not really a relocation, it's a closure. And the laws referring to closure are much stricter than the ones for relocation. So this is sort of a sly way of getting around the stricter closure laws. The second thing that they say here in this document that they're passing out, that they're not supported with tax dollars, and that simply isn't true. For one thing, there's a special fund in the U.S. Treasury that was put into the law in 1970 that is supposed to cover any funds in case the post office uses them. Secondly, they have according to the law, they can use the attorney from the state, from the federally funded attorney when they pursue their case. And in the case of Berkeley, and we're being sued by them, they use the federal. So that attorney is supported by tax funds. So these statements that they make are simply not true, and they should be challenged. The other thing is that the only time that we know of that the post office has been safe is when the congressperson gets involved, like Congressman Honda and Congressman Lee in Santa Clara and in Texas. And we really, really do encourage your congressman.
And he has met with the Postmaster General of Washington, D.C.
But even in his statement, he said this is a relocation. It's not a relocation, it's a closure, and that you should be examining the laws about closure. Thank you.
Thank you.
So as soon as the congressman has seen the posting, because it was emailed to us, our constituent took a picture and sent it to the office, and we reached out to the Postmaster General in Washington, D.C., and he went down there and met with them to discuss the process and how the process was wrong. Immediately we started working with the mayor's office about the process, and we had numerous conference calls, and that's why they had pushed the date so far off to plan a community meeting, which they were supposed to do in the beginning, way back. The congressman has also been encouraging other electeds to get the word out, just trying to get everyone in the city to know about what's going on. Be posting everything on our social media pages, come here as well.
attractive place to get around. Parking is real exciting over there. There's a whole lot of things about that. No public transportation. I too, as president of the neighborhood council, has a PO box at Nevin. And I'm like, okay, we're going to move this again. Okay, this will be fun. Now if it's in McVittie, that's a whole different story on how you get to it and how you deal with it. So that's not good. I'm very happy. I get off BART, I stop, I pick up my mail, and take care of business. Are we putting notifications or anything like in the libraries? That's a good way to let things out. And do you have like copies or PDFs of your sign that I could kind of post around for those people who don't, who might not do social media? I'm sure there's a lot of people that don't do that.
Right. Yeah. Great. Thank you.
I think we should have posters around the neighborhood too.
Big lights, big posters.
For Saturday.
For Saturday.
For Saturday.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So here's my question, not to be funny or anything, but do you have that letter in Spanish? Because a lot of our other people don't speak English. Because I have some neighbors that would love to fill that out, but their English isn't that great.
Right.
So
Yeah.
we can.
Well, we have to get it translated into Spanish.
And I'll take 4 letters to go.
If you signed in on the sign-in sheet and put your email, I can also keep you updated via email once you have the Spanish letter. Thank you.
Yes, my name is Antoine Floyd. I'm a community activist here in Richmond. And this is racial. Y'all need to hear how y'all hear what I want y'all talking about. It sounds good and dandy, but it's racial discrimination to our community. I went to the last one, but I'm here because I can process it. Look at what you're doing to our community. You're taking a beautiful location on Nevin Street in the middle of our beautiful downtown Richmond and sends us to a rat trap on 20. So when you do this, y'all need to picture this in your head now. They have to bring that mail system up. That place is beat up. Have y'all looked at it lately? That's where everybody in Richmond dump their trash at. I mean, come on. I mean, don't sit here. I'm listening like, y'all don't live in Richmond. Y'all don't be here. Y'all don't know what's going on the south side of Richmond. And our people are not going to go there. It's not safe for us. I'm being real with you. 10th Street is safe for our elderly community to come to.
That's right.
It is safe for our brown brothers and sisters to come to. You don't know Richmond. Richmond has barriers that you better not cross. You're going to end up leaking. 10th Street is neutral for us. Always have been and always will be. But you put us on that south side, and you all in trouble. And another thing, I want y'all to go to beautiful Point Richmond and look at that, some of you use some choice words, that small ass building. A box compared to 10th Street, and you tell me you making money over there and you making more than on 10th Street, somebody lying up in there, y'all. Somebody lying with us, and I ain't buying it. I'll say what you won't say. Because that's what I do. I don't care, because I don't own nobody nothing, but to my community where I live at. Our people in the bottoms cannot go to 20th Street. St. John's ain't open. We can't walk to Point Richmond. Most of the people who live in this area are elderly men and women. Our people with mental health issues. You didn't weigh this out, but I had to process this to come into the bank and wreck it to you for real. Because they're going to talk about, oh, we need to do this. It's yes, a national, all that nationality building. But how is it going to affect a community like us? You don't care about us when you sit there. I'm going to finish. Because this is serious. That's what I'm saying. See, when we really want to speak, ain't enough time. 2 minutes can't.
I stand with you.
Okay, so I'm just saying. Because I'm valid of what I'm saying. Because I know a lot of these elderly people in this room. If they didn't have transportation, they can't make it. They can't call that Richmond bus to take them to the post office. You understand me? Because you're going to get dropped off, then have to wait 2 hours to get picked up to get took back to your house. So you got to understand the dynamics of what y'all doing to us. If you're going to close Point Richmond down, let them come over there. Because that's got more history than they do.
So I want to clarify that we are not.
No, I'm just,
That this is USPS.
I'm making a statement. I'm not pointing
Okay,
you. Don't take it
good.
personal.
I know that you came in a little bit late, and I
No,
wanted to.
I know all about it.
Okay,
The council and stuff and the city, I get it all. But talking for the people, that's what I'm saying. People don't do like this. But you getting screwed and you taking it. Because you ain't gonna say what I'm gonna say to you. To the people who trying to close this down. Like she said, they're closing it. They ain't gonna paint it up and make it it's more space on 10th Street. They have a big parking lot for their trucks. Look at 20th Street. That's where they come out in. But our city council, what the problem is they made one-way streets. And it's not feasible for them trucks to come out of, it's not safe for a diesel truck or a bulk truck to come out of 10th Street. You ever look at the whole picture, y'all? It's not just what they're doing, it's how we as a city didn't speak up when they put a one-way street on Barry and a one-way street on McDonald. With a post office that can handle everything that we need. And so that's how they're able to shut it down because they say, our trucks came from there. Our trucks came from there. So we need to be, and look outside the box and stuff. No, it's a reason why they closed it down. Because the trucks can't get in and out. And we need to tell our city council, we got some in here, you need to open up Barry again so we can have transportation for these trucks to pick up our mail at 10th Street. Because they're not using that big parking lot. Man, Ms. Elliott, tell you, they're not using all the space in the back. And it is bigger than 20th Street. Man, he live over there. It is bigger on 10th Street than it is on 20th Street. If you paint it up and put a little money in there, it would do adequately for our community.
Yeah,
That's all I have.
thanks for bringing up that point. I think that's one thing that we haven't necessarily discussed about how we're going to engage our civic leaders. So thank you. So we had, I think, one more hand over here. So I'll do this. Who else wants to speak? We can do like 5 hands. One, so we got 1, 2, 3. All right. We'll do that order.
Mine's really brief. At Juneteenth, I wish I could volunteer, but I'm already in the okay. But at Juneteenth, can't you have the MC announce this on the stage 2 or 3 times? All right, I'll dress up as a package and I'll be excited.
After I'm one told the Antoine come down and give me information.
Yeah.
Because I go to next week. That's after the Jim Jenkins post office. But anyway, I take the motion and we think about the community before we think about going down to the point. I know Tom lives down there, but still, Tom is the mayor. What is the mayor?
He doesn't want it to go away here.
Okay, well, I'm
He definitely is fighting for it. And we have, for any of you that are kind of just coming in, we have a meeting scheduled with Tom and this gentleman, Dean Cameron, whose information is up here, who's the real estate specialist from the USPS, because we want to talk real talk about ideas that we have, because there is no agreement that this is something that should happen.
Well, Juneteenth is this Saturday.
I'll be out there.
Be there and we will bring it up more times than 3.
Yeah, good. All right.
Yeah, that's fine about Tom and Mayor Butts coming here to the area. But has anyone invited any of the other council members to this meeting? This particular meeting?
They're all right.
Well, that's good. All right. Mr. Butts needs to get Butts over here. He with us.
I'm representing you tonight. I'm here to represent you. I'm sorry, I can't remember who was the next person. But did we go through all 3? Oh, right here.
I'm sorry, before I answer the question, but I did want to make a point. There are several government regulations and reports that recommend that whenever the post office has extra space, it's supposed to aggressively try to rent that out, especially to other federal agencies. There was a GAO, which I guess is the Government Accountability Office report, saying that the Postal Service had to do more to make excess space available to other federal agencies. All over the country, they're saying, oh, we got way too much space, we have to sell it. Well, no, you could rent it out to others. In Berkeley, where we very strongly make the point that they should rent it out, they wrote a letter saying, oh, we don't see ourselves as landlords. We see ourselves as people who are, committed to delivering the mail. So they are actually violating some federal regulations and reports from the government. So I think it would really be good to bring that into your fight here, into your struggle, to say that you know very well that they are supposed to be renting this space out, and they can try to do it, whether it's Social Security coming in or whatever kind of offices. They're federal, is best that they would rent it out, to other people and give them, and make some money. And then I would just repeat what I said at the last meeting. Postal banking or extra financial services would save the post office in terms of the terrible things Congress has done to it with this manufactured crisis, that they did in 2006. The
pre-funding.
The pre-funding, exactly. So it really is crucial, I think, for us to continue repeating that. Their own Inspector General went on a 2-year campaign to try to get them to do it. They refused to do it. He recently resigned. However, it still could be the people's struggle, because that means a lot of unbanked people that don't have their own checking accounts or their savings accounts would have a lot of benefit. It could be really helpful to the community, as well as bringing in extra revenue to the Postal Service. Other countries do it. So.
Let me say one thing real quick.
And then Jerry and then Don.
We went to this before on Broadway, post office bus. That's no longer ago. Okay, I'm late. Go ahead.
I'm still stuck on Dean Cameron. I can't get past that. Dean Cameron is the real estate man. Dean Cameron can't make any decisions. So I don't even know why we're even talking to Dean Cameron. I know why you guys have all the information there. But that's just like if we wanted to go and talk to the mayor and he was never available and we always talk to his chief of staff. Well, the chief of staff can only take information back. So we don't need to be talking to Dean Cameron, the real estate man.
So,
we need to be talking to the postmaster man. The man who can make a decision.
so yeah, just really quick.
Like what the son did.
Yeah, so I'm from Congressman Sonny's office, and so we were working with Dean regarding this whole process. And so the United States Postal Service has it set up that Dean actually has to collect all the public comments in this 30-day public comment period, stating if people are for or against this and providing all this information. And then he's going to submit this to the people that you're referring to. So he has to write a report.
Information. So Dean is secondhand information going to the folks.
Yeah.
The folks need to hear us. The man who makes a decision, the person who makes a decision,
Yeah, it's a
person
board.
that he need to hear from us. So
Yeah, and so that's
so you want his book? I want his book.
You want his book?
so the way that I understand the process is that Dean is going to actually present all the letters and everything that's sent from the community to this board for review, and with his report saying how this outpouring of support for the post office is coming his way. So
Sorry, if we could kind of rein it in. Chanel's trying to help explain too.
So quickly, the way Dean Cameron has communicated the information to us is that they're going to look at the volume of letters, the number of letters that are coming in. So not so much as petitions, but how many letters that they receive. So that's why we are trying to encourage you all to help us with getting letters, and encourage your community to write letters and bring them in. We can even mail them for you, however we can get it out there. And Gerald, if you could announce it a couple of times throughout Juneteenth on Saturday, that would be awesome.
How long would it take for him to swing or change his mind or to be on our side?
he didn't answer that question at the it was asked of him, but it wasn't something that he had an
idea.
So if we do a petition and get, because Juneteenth is going to happen, where our community is going to come out in large numbers. And the people are not going to sit at no table and write no letter. But we have a petition.
So also there's Amanda that lives in Main Street. She already has the letter prepared.
I'm just saying.
So all they have to do is just put their address, their name and address here, and that's it.
Okay, so I also want to keep, there's a lot of people that have comments right now, and I want to make sure that we're respecting each other and everyone's on time. So I know that Don had a comment, and then you, ma'am, and I know Joey, you guys already came.
Yeah, I finally remembered.
So 1, 2, 3.
My situation was addressed in this report with the letter
Oh,
of
okay.
Juneteenth.
Oh, and you're settled?
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay.
A couple of things. I want to tag on what she was commenting about leasing out the space. A few months back, I had to go testify in court in Oakland. Guess where the Superior Court houses are? The second floor of the big post office. I couldn't find any place on that second floor to mail a letter. I couldn't get my passport, but that had all kinds of courthouse things in there, all kinds of judicial things in there. They found another use for that second floor, and I think there was a third floor, but I didn't go up there because it didn't look safe. I'm sorry, this was just a couple of weeks after the ghost ship fire, and all over that building in the U.S. Post Office were fire hazards, fire extinguishers that were locked behind closed doors. No sprinklers or anything like that. Second thing I want to point out is why is it we got a city here of 110,000 people. We've got a little hole-in-the-wall post office in Point Richmond. We've got a post office there by Garvin and San Pablo Avenue that seems to be closed more often than it's open, doesn't hardly have stamps, doesn't have boxes to sell, doesn't have envelopes to sell, has bad parking. And then we've got our post office right here. But you've got El Cerrito, that city 1/3 our size, that has 2 full post offices who has hours of operation that exceed what we have here.
That's right.
Why do they get something like that and we get stepped on like this? We seem to see that all over Richmond, where businesses are closing, businesses are leaving, can't get supermarkets in town, can't get a post office in town. They want us to keep going outside. Also, you want to go pick up your certified letters, you got to go leave town and go all the way to the Parkway and hope that somebody will open the door for you.
Yeah, I definitely agree that this would not be aligned with our goals for our city. So I have right here, and we'll have Joey.
Well, at the last meeting,
Sorry, 1 second, ma'am. I respectfully request that while folks are sharing that we're listening to you.
at the last meeting, a woman got up, and I'm not sure who it was, got up and said, here they're giving all this input, and there isn't anyone taking notes or videotaping the comments or doing anything. And now they're going to bring our comments to, Dean is going to send them upstairs, and do we get a chance to look at the report that he's sending upstairs before he sends it?
You know, I
he
don't
can
know.
say anything he wants to.
Yeah. It actually turned out that the Richmond postmaster was taking detailed notes for each presenter last at the community meeting. But I'll ask.
He didn't know that.
It wasn't ever. It was never announced to anybody. We found out a couple of days after that she was taking notes.
He didn't expect to have any notes taken.
No, he did not. He made that clear at the
And
meeting.
he was going to go home and remember.
Yeah.
Real estate man.
But what I'll make sure to ask him if that report is going to be made public.
You could get it under freedom of information.
In 6 months.
Yeah, right.
So I finally remembered that other question. Of the folk who are in here, is there anyone who's still on the fence about keeping that main post office open? Please raise your hand. Well, no, it's honestly, we need to make sure that if there's anyone who's either in disagreement or still needs more information, we would like to either hear what you have to say or at least express what's going on here, the reason why we believe that we should keep it open. I'm very much into doing things in a democratic fashion, and them forcing us out does not go along with that. So I want to make sure that everyone's voice is heard and feel included in this process, because I believe it will benefit us all. That was my question. Thank you.
And I definitely want to acknowledge that this is important, and also to really hone in on this also being a strategy session and thinking about where we're going. We've mentioned Juneteenth, we've mentioned going back to our neighborhood councils and our organizations that we're a part of. So I think, as well as comments, I think it's really important for us to share our feelings about this. Since it seems that we're all kind of here because we disagree about this, let's also figure out together what our next steps are.
Do you know if being a real estate specialist gets anything from this? Is there something, perk or something, he gets any money from this?
We're not sure.
He's a postal employee. He's not on a commission. He's a postal employee.
He has nothing to gain from...
Well, promotions.
Okay, well, I'm just saying, I think
He's not an outside person.
it's really unfortunate that this guy is the person who's receiving everything. I mean, is there anybody else there looking at the stuff, or does he put it in the trash can? He has the total control over everything that we're sending. It really bothers me.
In our meeting on next week, we'll ask that question.
It's called accountability.
Yeah. If we request that the comments being sent to Dean Cameron also be sent to the official big head U.S. Postal Master in Washington, so he's aware that Dean Cameron received so many responses.
There's also a regional director in San Francisco.
That's who Dean is reporting to.
Is over Dean. Yeah.
We don't know what Dean is saying.
No, but I'm just saying that that's a person to. Okay. Dean knows.
So I got a question.
Other people in front of him.
I'm trying to find what's the number for him to turn around the vote. There has to be a number that he has received to change his mind. So if we don't have a specific goal in mind, we can do all we want, and we can do what we want to do. So
And that's not something that he was able to answer at the last meeting.
All right, we have a comment from...
Actually, maybe a little information. I went on trying to find out who his boss would be.
Yeah.
Larry Munoz, I can't talk today, is the acting vice president, area operations for Pacific area.
Okay.
So, and since their information is pretty much right here, I'm sure we can find an address. I don't have one without trying to download it on my phone.
No, it's in San Bruno. Western Region's headquarters are in San Bruno.
Okay.
But it's not hard. I don't know it off the top of my head, but it's not hard to find.
Is that different than the Bay Valley district?
The Bay Valley District reports to the Western Region.
Okay. Okay.
Just headquartered in San
San
Bruno.
Bruno?
Yes.
Okay.
If memory serves, 850 Cherry Avenue, but I retired a long time ago.
All right. I have a question for Joseph. Do you have any idea how soon the naming of the post office might happen? Is Mark trying to fast track that?
Yes, so in order to get the post office name, you have to get the entire California delegation to sign on to it.
Didn't we say that they have?
So they have the delegation, but then once they sign on to it, then we have to move on with the next process. And so that's what they're working on in teaching now. I'm not sure of the timeline of that, but I can find out for you.
It'd be nice if he could, boost it. That should also be publicized, like in the local paper, what it's going to be called, and the significance of it.
And it was when he did a big precedent in front of the post office.
Now, because of the fact that, they're trying to close it down, I just want to bring forward the whole.
And I think it was in the paper in February once that ad came up on the post office, that the congressman was trying to rename it and the significance behind it. So we can put another press release out again and see if the papers pick it up and publish it.
I think there's some reporters in there.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to raise my hand.
Unusual.
I'm a fighter. I know how to fight and I know how to win. But if I don't have no prime objective, I've already lost. So when I'm here, we already lost. I'm just being real with y'all because one, we don't have a number. We don't have an objective, right? A goal that we have to reach to turn his mind around. That's one. And two, you got this one dude that ain't got no accountability to him, that ain't got nobody accountable to him. Y'all understand that? there is no transparency at this table that we present this stuff to. We ain't heard, I didn't hear that from him, the guy that was at the last one, and Dean definitely ain't got none, because we ain't seen Dean, and then we got to go to, what you say it was, in Cherry Street somewhere? We ain't going there. So from our community, there has to be some trust and some integrity in what this fighting fish do, because if I go out there and ask these people in this room, I don't know most of y'all, but if we all bind together and go out there to Juneteenth, and there's 20,000 people out there on one hot, it's going to be hot too, y'all. And we're going to go do all this work, and Dean will sit in his office and see this stack hitting all at one time and do like this here. And we're going to check it, because it can't happen. So, we got to keep it real. I'm a realist. I'm not no party who just go for the okie doke.
Yeah, I would say that we just want to make sure that we're keeping whoever's organizing the letter writer campaign. We just want to keep making sure that we're tallying however many people we're sending off. That would go to your transparency and on us sending however much there is being sent to him. Then if it's our word versus, whoever sending it off's word versus theirs.
Okay, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
My recollection of the sign that is posted at the post office is quite small, and a number of us have all missed it. Is it possible for us to get a sign like the one that says Richmond Recreation, register online? No, I'm serious, so that you cannot miss this when you go in that post office. Because I would be willing to bet that a number of people would have no idea, and they're going to show up there one day when this is all over, and they're going to go, what the heck happened?
Yeah. Wouldn't count on them putting
You
it up.
noted that. Thank you. All right.
Picture is 1,000 words. Before we mail them, send them whatever, take a picture of it, make sure that the mayor's office gets a copy of it, make sure that our congressman's office gets a copy of it. I know that's part of what I'm doing. So those of us who are actually soliciting for people to sign these and fill them out, before you pass them off, take a picture and send it to one of these 2 offices to make sure it's like, okay, look, we're actually doing this. This is not some phantom type of activity. And I don't know if you heard him last time, Antoine, but he didn't tell us, so I'm just as frustrated as you are that we don't have a specific goal. But the thing about it is, if anybody does have something specific or unique to include in the letter, okay, that's what makes them stand out. When they just get the boilerplate rubber stamp, I'm filling in my thing because I think it's a good thing to do. Yes, that's wonderful. It means that more people are involved and active. When you take the time to actually make it personal, that it's you, then that actually gives it a little bit more impact. So the volume, yes, that's great. Let's do that. But anyone who is so inclined, please write an original letter.
Yes.
Or write your original stuff on the back.
That's okay. Yeah, that too.
All right, we got 2 comments here, 1 over here, and
You said that Butts is scheduled to be in some meetings.
he's meeting with the mayor's meeting with Dean Cameron this week.
Oh, that's great. Now listen,
Written in.
Mayor Butts, I tell you, he's not my idea of an in-control mayor. Several months ago, I went to a council meeting, city council meeting, and a youth group came to him with a couple of adults trying to get money out of the council. They're a group that funds their own activities for the most part. And there are 12 other groups that work there that have no funding and can't get it unless they go through the council. These people were out of order. They were not following proper protocol. Mayor Butts asked him to sit down. He said, no, you can't do this way. The council member Bates, he stood with the mayor on that. The other council members voted both of them down, including the city manager. He never said a word. And they finally awarded this, even though these people were out of protocol with this presentation, gave them $50,000 out of the treasury, our money, our tax money, on something that flimsy. And they just sat there and let it happen. Now, Tom Bus doesn't impress me as a person that can take control.
So I'm sorry that you experienced that and feel concerned around that, but I know that he is passionate about historic buildings. He's been on this project or this issue the entire time. So I mean, anytime you want to
I'm just letting you know. There's a lot of craziness going on in that city council.
All right.
The letters that were signed and turned in tonight, will they be available at the mayor's office? Will the mayor have a record of those? And also, the request maybe that the neighborhood council here keeps a copy of the packet as well? Would that be okay?
We have a lot of copies that we want to give out to anybody.
I don't mean the blank ones. I mean the ones that have been signed.
Oh, the ones that have been signed.
You can take a picture of them, but I don't know that we can't copy all of them. So all of them are the ones that have been signed. I don't see how, unless somebody wants to take the time to make copies of all the signed ones.
Well, I don't mean nothing like that, but if they do that at the mayor's office, maybe the neighborhood council can get a copy of those.
I don't know that that's feasible.
Why not?
Well, how about this, like, for the ones that we get, like, that's not doing.
Yeah, you can't.
So what is the response? I'm not sure what it is.
Well, the ones that we get, I can scan them. The ones that are in envelopes right now, I'm not going to go through and.
I'm just concerned that the copies are left here in this area, and everything is just not sent off without your property. We're having a record.
Yeah, I think that's great. I think that's at least one more level of.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
We have one more, and then Mayor, I see you in the back, so we'll have Jamie. Yeah.
So my question is it possible when we set this, everything we know set the beam camera, is it possible for us to CC the other man, the regional man? Whoever that regional postman is. So now you know, or to the U.S. Postal General, whatever, just so that we'll know more than Dean Cameron got it. So if you can do that, but just make sure you send it to the right other person, not another Dean.
Yeah.
Can you legally take copies of these letters that we have signed and given to Main Street or your office and give copies to some other organization?
The signed copies?
Yeah.
I don't think you can do that. If once somebody signs something and puts it in an envelope, that's their personal
No, not
property.
even in the envelope. I signed mine. I did not put it in an envelope, but I haven't authorized you to give it to anybody.
Right, yeah.
It's an envelope now. It's an envelope now.
So are you kind of referring back to the concern about copying and keeping them? Like, are you not wanting?
No, I mean, it's fine, except that I hear different people asking for copies, and I don't think that's legal.
Okay, yeah, I hear that. That's a great question. All right.
Yeah, I was the guy who brought up the Fox and the Dean Cameron. In the meantime, I quickly looked on Google and Googled Dean Cameron, and it seems that this man is, first of all, an employee of the Postal Service. In 2014, he earned $93,400 a year. And just little facts, but it also looks like he's involved in every single potential closure of a post office, but also in the opening of post offices in certain neighborhoods where people really needed it. So it looks like he's the guy. I was initially very suspicious, of course, but maybe everybody should Google his name and then you can see what he's doing. So it seems that he is the guy at the Postal Service that deals with these kind of issues. I wanted to correct my initial.
Okay, thanks. So we had one comment here and then I was just searching out. Oh, you don't have to. Okay.
So this is just a thought.
close that place, can our community handle a lawsuit against the United States Post Office for racial discrimination in a black community that desperately needs a post office in their community, and you making us not even have subsidy or economical sound avenue to put our information when you say that the U.S. Post Office is here to serve you and you're not serving us. So this is something to think about.
It's definitely also a disability access.
Yeah, it's a disability. And number two, since you said that, 20 does not have no handicap access. Yeah, and Point Richmond does not have no handicap access. And there's no parking in Point Richmond on that corner that you have to go to. Because Hotel Max is over here, and everything over there, you have no parking. So this discrimination to me, and if I feel, if y'all feel that way, we need to do something about that and put that out.
Can you see me?
I'll let you know.
One of the many things that concerns me is that when they look at the city of Richmond as a whole, 110,000 people, and they look at how many responses they get, it's a very small percentage of the total population. We need to make sure that they understand that the 12 to 15,000 people living out in El Sobrante and Carriage Hills aren't going to come to downtown Richmond because their post office is closer to Martinez and Pinole than they are here. The people in Point Richmond are not going to come down here because they've got their hole in the wall down there in their little community. That's the people in the Annex or the East Richmond. The Annex has El Cerrito post offices to go to. The East Richmond has their own post office. So it doesn't really affect people in the outlying areas nearly as much as it might affect the people in downtown Richmond here. So they shouldn't be looking at the 110,000 people of Richmond. They should be looking at the core group of Richmond in central Richmond that it does apply to. They need to make sure they know that, because in San Francisco and in San Bruno and in Washington, D.C., it just looks like one big city. They don't know this.
Which is another reason why we need that translation.
Sure. I think that I respect everything everybody said in here, but everybody's kind of like, this is the main thing, firefighter. So the main thing is safety first. You guys are talking about, we're talking about a lot of things, but it's safety first. And me going to I go to more killings than I do fires. And in that area, it's just not cool to send our beautiful people down there for whatever other reasons these people want. I'm not saying if it's a money thing, I don't know what it is. But we need to really think about safety first. And that's just not a place for even young people to go.
You're talking about over McVittie.
Yes, and I mean, that's the main thing we really, really should be thinking about. It's just, I mean, greed can mess up a lot of stuff. People forget about safety, you know, and then you don't hear about nothing, or you want to fix something, you know, when it makes the news because something bad happens. So, you know, let's really just bring that to these greedy people, you know, the safety for our elderly people who made it possible for us to keep them safe.
Thank you. We talked about this. I know I'm preaching to the choir, but this just really irks me. How many people actually write letters anymore? Perhaps my generation, but so few. And in this world of social media and cell phones, that's how people should be able to voice their concern about this. And they've stacked the deck tremendously by saying, you must compose a letter, even a letter like this, getting people to sit down. I'm not saying it's right, I'm not saying it's wrong, but that is the reality of our culture currently. And maybe when Mayor Butts gets to address Dean, he can bring that up. Why are people not allowed? If I want to call my congressperson, I have the option of calling, I have the option of writing, I have the option of emailing. Why does this have to be so specific? Surely it can't be just to raise money for the post office.
Okay, just a quick thing. Has anybody talked to APEN? Asian Environmental People? There would be another person who probably would have to translate it, but at least it's another group in this city that would want to know and want to be involved, I would think.
And I can reach out, but I also want to invite, like, if you have folks in your network that you want to share this information with, please, because we're all limited individually, but collectively we can do a whole lot. So, yeah, if you have folks that you want to reach out to. The other thing I can do is send out a PDF version of the letter. And I think there's
Yeah,
one
we have.
electronically on
It's on our website. We have a specific tab for the Richmond Main Street Post Office closure. So there's all kinds of information up there, and we have a letter up there, and ways for you to share it, and all of that. So.
I did write a letter, and I just happened to make 5 extra copies when I was printing it, and I'm just going to leave them on the table, so if you want a slightly different letter, so that it looks different, doesn't look like, a repeat letter, pick them up, please.
right here, and then
I'll go after that person.
okay.
Is there anything on the city website about this? Like on the front page of the city website? I think there should be.
A lot of things should be.
And the jumbotron and say
Yeah.
our main post office.
Yeah, and on the signboard out there.
Yeah.
That's great.
Signs going up there on the counter.
Can this information also go out to all the different neighborhood councils?
Sure.
It already has.
It has.
Yeah, I haven't read about it.
It was at the meeting on Monday, so. Maybe we'll find out about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't mean to be discouraging about what will happen before June 30th or by June 30th, but is there a plan to have another meeting before June 30th? Because if in fact you don't succeed by June 30th, it does not mean the struggle is over by any means. And I just want to recommend, if you have any idea who wants to buy the building, that you can certainly have a campaign to try to discourage that person from doing it. I mean, you have certain, I live in Berkeley, but you have an advantage, I think, that we didn't have. It sounds like your whole community, even the business community, wants to keep the post office. In Berkeley, we had people who thought it should be sold. So, there was that kind of dichotomy, which you don't have here. But I think you can probably be pretty effective in convincing possible buyers that it's not a place they want to buy.
I just have a couple points, and I'm not sure, maybe it goes to Congressperson's age more than anything else, it seems like a big component of this is the post office wants to sell the building, they need the money. And is there a way to make it so that that'll be part of the Rosie the Riveter National Monument, so that it could be changed if they do sell it? And the other point I had is, my mind's going blank right now. I'm sorry.
Join the club.
Historical landmark, they wouldn't, they can still maybe sell it, but they wouldn't be able to change the outside. The other thing is more like a congressperson's thing is maybe they need to pass a bill for future post offices that whenever the U.S. Post Office closes a post office, that instead of being able to sell it, they have to turn it over to the city that it's in. Give it to the city that's in, let them be able to buy it for $1 instead of selling it to some developer. I know that's a long-term goal, but it might not save Richmond, but it might save some other places. If they take the money out of it so that it's going to go to the city that it's in, they don't have the motivation to sell it.
Those are all great suggestions. Thank you.
Thank you. One of the things that the congressman had put into, he passed an amendment in the Postal Reform Act that still has not gone through, but it's now in the bill, is to provide a notice to the member of Congress when the post office is looking to close down a post office like this or relocate a post office. So they have to give their member of Congress a notice, a 30-day notice. Yeah, 30-day notice prior.
Make it like a year notice.
Yeah, but that would provide an extended period of time for a member of Congress to be able to notify their community of when something like this is going on. So
I want to do a time check. I see you. It's about 7:35 now. We said we would have a meeting until 8 o'clock. So we still have time for more conversation.
expanded to serve the public because it is unsafe
Condemn it.
in that area. That's what mentioned. So if they don't have a place to go, they may also have less of an incentive to close this post office. Right, exactly.
APM at 88.
Yeah. Parking, traffic. We need a study. We need a study.
That's a Title VI issue. That's
It's a big parking lot out this post office. Being unused.
Right, any other?
These two ladies were talking about the Berkeley and the difference between relocating and closing, relocating and selling. I'm sorry, if somebody who understands this kind of thing can pursue that. I certainly don't understand, but somebody with a legal mind.
Kind of what they were talking about. So they were saying,
Yeah.
what they're saying they're doing, and chime in, folks.
And what they're doing
is moving the retail operations over to McVittie. So that's why they're not calling it a closure.
Right, but it's a closure.
Yeah, I mean, in all six purposes, it's a closure, but
Right,
they're
my
not.
point, I got that.
Yeah.
My point is somebody pursuing that.
The legal side. Closure versus.
Somebody needs to pursue that.
Okay.
The different procedures.
To say you're saying one thing, but you're planning something else, and what you're planning is not legal. Well, maybe I don't know what I'm talking about.
Once the building's
I think too, because they're saying there's a facility within a certain, and this is, I'm just saying what they told us. I'm not saying that I necessarily support this, but because there's another potential service zone within a mile that they're not actually taking away service. It's kind of their stance. So, like, if you don't agree, if you don't, I'm not saying it because I think it's right. I'm just saying so that's their whole like way of getting it.
That's a real estate thing.
If you want to get into the law, there's a law that was passed in 1970 under Nixon that changed the post office from a public thing into this entity. It's not a private corporation, it's not a government agency, but it's an entity. And in that law, it says that the post office must be maintained, which, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. It says that the purpose of the post office is to serve the people. It doesn't say it's to support itself, and keep the money going. It says it should be accessible and available to the, it's all in the law there.
Then all they have to do is follow the law.
Okay, so why don't we take one or two more questions, comments, concerns, and then we'll move into next steps.
Now, the only thing, so I grew up in the Netherlands, which is on the other side of the world, and we have post offices. What I always, it's the United States Postal Service. And there was a time that people would, like in Kirk, would go on skis in the snow to deliver the mail to people. Yeah. Or they would go on a pony and race like madmen from one spot to another to deliver the mail. I feel that like losing a post office, it's like in the old cowboy times or the western time, first you started with a bar, and then you had a brothel, and the next thing was post office, right? And then civilization had arrived. I feel by depriving people, a community of their own post office is a downturn in our civilization. So that alone would be a reason to keep a post office like this in this community. It needs it because it's a human basic need.
I know there's problems with the trucks getting in and out of it. They can probably figure out something. But my question is, what is the square footage of the two facilities? I mean, is it like a huge
only for the loading docks.
Right, right.
That's the part that you don't see, just behind. I used to work there on those.
Yeah. Councilmember Martinez.
Yeah, this is a problem that we had at the last meeting. He comes in without any information that we can see, without any charts or any comparison between the two. And I asked him if he could supply that information for this meeting. And he said that he would. And I was really surprised when he didn't show up, much less didn't show up without the information that he promised me he would bring to the meeting so that we could actually look at it intelligently and compare the two situations so that we could understand what it was they were trying to do. As it is now, all I know is they want to close the post office and move it to McVittie, and I have no idea, what the pros and cons are, other than what he says.
He's a real estate man.
So this has been really informative and useful, and I hope that folks, look around you, because these are people that we're going to be working together for the next 2 weeks on this. We'll hopefully see you all out at community events like Juneteenth this Saturday. But I really want to get from you all what our next steps are going to be, and I'm going to write it down, document what are our planned next steps as a Save the Post Office group.
Get the word out to as many people as possible.
Print massive large posters like this.
Get the word out to networks. I'm sure a lot of you are involved in neighborhood councils or boards or commissions, so please share it there.
The Jumbotron.
The one that's on McDonald?
The Jumbotron.
Juneteenth, I'll be tabling with the city manager's office, and I will plan on having letters there, but I think that it's probably best that we're all over the place.
Yes.
So I can bring a big stack, and folks can kind of bring it to their zone.
Can we get it on the Jumbotron?
On
McDonald's? Is that whatever it's called?
The marquee.
Yeah, the marquee.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know.
Electronic sign. Marquee. I like that name. That's cool.
I'd like to ask, when was the mayor first notified of the closure of the post office?
We were notified when we got the email of the picture the same day that.
Same day?
Yeah, that was the same. And we
Back
were
in
very
January.
confused. We had just that picture.
And what day was this?
That was in January. And that's when we first started making our calls. Actually,
Here we are to June, so we should have been having town hall meetings immediately. The community should have immediately been notified.
That's in the past.
And that we would have had some time. Now we're in crunch time, 15 days. And so, moving forward, because we have the city attorney, city manager, your office, senator, congressman. Moving forward, if there is anything that totally impacts our communities, Richmond, we need to be notified. Because we don't really have enough time. It could have already been sold. I have another question. Did they ever say how much it costs to purchase the post office? Say, like a city?
Did Ellen say, I didn't make a note of that.
Okay.
Ellen, we can find out.
Right. 500,000 for the main post office. Yeah.
ourselves.
Yes. Mr. Cameron has not provided anything.
He has not provided an estimator, and so I'm wondering if the city of Richmond can't purchase it itself.
And that's an idea that I think Thomas.
At Healthy Village next to Juneteenth, that's another event that's on the,
Question is back. She made a statement, and it kind of brought something what she said about our mayor. Our mayor lived in Point Richmond.
You know, my mind is flushed away.
Our mayor's a big preservation, historic preservation.
Can I finish? Richmond is a city, and our elected officials are supposed to take care of a city. And that's where they did that. And just maybe just talking about, I missed it, but he showed it to me. Piedmont kept theirs in Piedmont, right in the same location, even after they got put out, their location, and they made a decision to keep it in their same location.
So we have about.
So can I finish?
No. Sorry, you can't keep coming and going and interrupting people.
I'm getting information. I gotta get information too.
Stay here and you can get information. We're trying to conclude.
So the question about the square footage and everything, I don't have access to it at home. I might be able to get it sometime during the day tomorrow. But if you go on Google Maps, anybody has this capability, please help us out. You can go on Google Maps, and there is a software program called Adobe Pro that allows you to measure square footage of a facility. Now, that would just be the outside. It's not necessarily the part where people are actually going to be doing work. But this would give some better idea of what's going on. And if the congressman's office, and I'm saying the congressman's office because it seems to have made a little bit more progress than the mayor's office, but if someone is able to access some public floor plans, just so you can get an idea of the usable space, and then do the square footage that way as well. Because if I know that the post office owns the property, or at least that's what I'm told, so there may be some limits to that, but because of how the space is used, we should be able to get most of that
And
information.
the reason why I asked about square footage is just exactly what Eduardo said. We should demand why, what is the reasoning? And how many usable square feet, and get details from them that we don't have. So if they have some sort of thing that they're thinking, oh, this would be a great idea, we'd like to know, but we don't have any idea why they're doing this.
The last meeting, we mentioned the square footage of both buildings. We mentioned that the Richmond Post Office needs about 2,000 square feet for its retail operations. And they did mention the square footage of both buildings. I can't remember what the square footage is. I didn't take notes.
I recall something about the main post office being about 15,000 square feet or something, and then the McVittie was at least twice or more than that.
Yeah.
So, but part of the issue with that, with them only needing the 2,000, is that there's all this other space that could be used for other things. And if in fact they are looking to raise some money, there are other businesses that would be willing to locate there and pay them to be there. So there are many different uses that could be in that post office. They could share that space with others and then get paid for that. So that's just, another option and opportunity.
Historically, it was a district FBI office and Army and Navy recruiting station during World War II, which brings to mind the Rose of the River tie-in. And so really, we do need to get the post office, the National Park Service involved in the preservation.
Former union president mentioned that when he worked there, there was another agency.
Yeah, I think it was IRS.
I want to keep knocking out the level.
Did you have a next step? I want to be mindful of
You're going to lose us here.
No.
Yes, you
You
are.
was notified in January about this whole situation. We're just not hearing about it now.
So they are
meetings and again at the
Well,
Forest Council meetings.
So there, I just want to acknowledge that it was brought up at a council meeting earlier. Richmond Main Street had also put the word out about the post office closure, so there has been some information that's been put out there. Certainly there needs to be a lot more public notice and information shared, but that there has been some information before this time.
There was a newspaper article about it back in February.
What happens the council have a chance to gather this information about sizes and places and all that?
Yeah, just to be fair to the mayor's office and to the congressman, we found out at the same time as the community, there was a notice posted on there, and that's still posted in the post office right now, that notice is posted. And we've been trying to run through the process with the United States Postal Service, trying to figure out what the process is for closing this down. Like has been mentioned, the congressman is trying to land in the post office right now, so we're trying to figure out how to keep it open. And so the Postal Service has been providing us information. May 31st.
I'm talking about that. I'm talking about we as a council throughout the city.
Yeah, okay, we got an 8 o'clock, we ought to get by 8 o'clock.
We don't next steps.
Next steps, okay.
Pursue legal issues and get the reports that Mr. Martinez was supposed to get from Dean, and find out what kind of report that Dean is giving to his superiors.
Yeah, and I think that if the use of the other locations going to change, I would like the city to look into if that can just happen without any study. You know, what is the process that they would need to make it into a built space?
Okay.
And would they need permits, for example, for the city? And would they need an environmental?
EIR, environmental impact report.
The new facility, but that they will move it to, because what about if it's not feasible to move it?
Yeah, they have to go through planning.
Aren't they violating the law by not?
Well, what is the process? If you're going to change the use of that facility, and you are, if you make it into a retail facility, don't you need to plan around it? What's the impact? What is the impact on the traffic in the area? What's the impact on the neighborhood?
That's the point part. What are they, what part of the process are they avoiding or violating the law by?
Okay, and then also there was concern about how organizations and groups of folks that we're talking to. So I would just want to add that we really get the word out to those community members that we're connected with.
Oh, yes. Sequoia, there was one thing we were talking about, the letters. If you go on the Richmond Main Street website and you go to their letter, if you don't have to live in Richmond, but you can put your home address on there, but if you work in Richmond, that's acceptable.
Right.
And that letter that Richmond Main Street has on the website, it tells you that.
Okay.
So I had a lot of people in my office went and did that letter.
Okay.
But if you have this letter, you put your address on it, but on the back, just say, I work in Richmond, and where you work. Yeah, that's sufficient.
Okay, great.
And just another thought, there's a lot of large facilities like Kaiser.
Yeah.
So maybe handing out this letter at people that go to Kaiser. Because when I go to Kaiser, I go to the post office.
I could go there a lot too.
Yeah, so that goes speaks to, again, us having some more volunteers that would be willing to maybe stand out and hand the letter out to folks.
And the store, the grocery store.
Yes.
And I know Ms. Mason's been helping with that as well. So it looks like we have a lot of things for our offices and for community members.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that in January I contacted Kaiser to see whether or not they would be impacted, and they told me that they actually have their own mail room. So Kaiser, the hospital, doesn't really use that post office, but their patients do.
And the staff use a lot of glucose food.
Right.
And I reached out to Kaiser as well to see if they would support us, and they gave me the same answer. And I would just encourage folks to
might want to try to get him to come here for a demonstration at the post office. All right. If you don't succeed right away.
Thank you. Okay, well, thank you, everybody.
Thank
for
you.
coming.